The Grezekai royal family differed from the rest in the color of their hair. Their locks were bright yellow, reminiscent of the rays of the summer sun. However, there was an exception in their family. It was their daughter, Clarissa. Clarissa was born with delicate pink hair. The girl inherited the color of her hair from her biological mother, a simple maid. Her mother disappeared without a trace as soon as she gave birth to Clarissa. Growing up without a mother was extremely difficult for Clarissa. She felt lonely all the time. As Clarissa grew older, the royal family treated her more and more harshly. Clarissa loved to go to the garden to collect beautiful stones. She had one unique ability. She could talk to some of the stones. One day, while walking in the garden, the girl heard footsteps. It was the royal family. That's strange. They don't usually come this way. I need to get out of here as soon as possible. If they see me here, they will definitely scold me. Frightened, Clarissa thought. The girl put her stones in the hem of her dress and hurried back into the house. Suddenly, a few stones fell out of the hem of her dress onto the ground. Clarissa bent down to pick them up and accidentally bumped into her brother. "Brother, I'm sorry," mumbled the girl. "Be more careful from now on," said the prince and slapped his sister across the face. "How dare you jump out under the feet of a member of the royal family? And don't call me brother. I am nothing to you. Don't you dare refer to me as a half-breed like you. That sounds utterly disgusting," hissed the prince angrily. "Son, quickly put a stop to all this. It's true, she was rude to you, but it's not proper for a member of the royal family to show their hands. You better not touch her, or you might catch some disease," said the queen. Sometime after this incident, enemies broke into the royal palace and killed the king and queen. The prince and Clarissa were shackled. Clarissa wondered how her brother could remain so calm in such a dangerous situation. Clarissa, on the other hand, cried silently to no end. She didn't want to die. A dark-haired man in knight's armor walked up to the prince and pointed his sword at him. "Wait, don't kill me. Kill that foul half-breed first. I'm not going to beg for my life. However, I don't want the last survivor of the Grezekai royal family to be this illegitimate," the prince said in a calm voice. The man swung his sword. With a loud wheezing sound, the defeated prince fell to the floor. His throat had been slit. "That was a very good offer, Prince. But if something causes me even a shred of doubt, I immediately want to do it, don't you, brother?" said a young man with long white hair and clapped his hands. The dark-haired man in knight armor looked at him angrily. "All right, I think that's enough entertainment for today. Let's get this over with. The smell of blood in this room is so strong that I feel like washing and changing my clothes." "Your Majesty, but I can't kill the princess," said the dark-haired man, hiding his sword in its scabbard. "What are you talking about now? Do you really mean to say that you took pity on this girl?" The blonde-haired man wondered. The address, "Your Majesty," made it clear that he was a member of royalty. He was most likely a king. Chapter 12, Paragraph 17 of the National Law says that execution cannot be carried out on anyone under the age of 18, replied the dark-haired man. "The princess has not yet reached the age of majority, so she cannot be executed. No king in history has ever broken that law. I knew you were naive, but I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. Even if it is tainted blood, it is still royal blood. This girl is the last remaining royalty." In an irritated voice, the blonde-haired king said, "She will grow up and seek revenge with all her might, making all sorts of excuses and justifications." The king rose from his throne and approached Clarissa. "No, I will not do that. I will not seek vengeance. My brother said I'm just an ordinary half-breed. How dare I even contemplate revenge?" the girl exclaimed. She realized that she finally had a chance to save her life. "If you let me live, I will live a quiet, peaceful life. I swear to you." "It's amazing! Why do I have hybrids like you hanging around me all the time?" the king muttered thoughtfully. "All right, brother. Have it your way. I will honor your wish. Let this child live until she is 18 years old. However, you must take the responsibility and take her to Sheridan. But don't forget, on the day of this child's majority, you must personally cut off her head and bring it to me." A butler entered the Duke's study and announced that a guest had arrived. It was his assistant, Quentin. "Congratulations on your victory, Duke Maximilian. I heard that His Majesty was distressed. He will go straight back to Sheridan without attending the banquet in honor of the conquest," said Quentin, entering the Duke's study. "The banquet is already over, and we can't leave Sheridan unattended for long. And by the way, why did you come here?" Maximilian asked his assistant. "I came to you to discuss a matter. I have heard that you wish to bring Princess Grezekai to Sheridan. I will be frank with you. I oppose the idea of bringing her along." "Do you really plan to raise this princess?" Quentin asked. "I don't see what the problem is. Do you think there isn't enough money and manpower in Sherinad to raise and educate one child?" asked his assistant Maximilian. "Oh, that's so sad. And that is absolutely not what I meant. Please listen to me carefully. No matter how staunch you are, children are adorable, so you may develop an attachment to the girl," Quentin warned. "You will see her grow and develop, so she will become a close person to you. Are you going to kill the child you love as soon as she celebrates her majority? Are you going to cut off her head with your own hands and bring it to the king? You're talking some nonsense. You know that I rarely feel affection for anyone. The princess is only a prisoner of war, and I didn't execute her just because of the law of the Shefos kingdom. Even if she is a prisoner of war, it won't change anything. The people around her will definitely love her," Quentin insisted. "Love, you say? That's absurd. Her very existence could be the spark to rebuild the kingdom, and I don't think there's anything stopping me from killing her when she turns 18. Maximilian objected to his aide. "I still think this girl should be killed now, rather than waiting until she is older," Quentin said dejectedly. He guessed that this little princess could bring them a lot of trouble. Hearing Quentin's words, Clarissa flinched fearfully. The bag of stones fell out of her hands. Quentin turned around at the sound. Behind him, he saw a little girl. She had beautiful hair that was a soft pink color. "What is the princess doing here?" asked the Duke to the servant accompanying the girl. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to overhear your conversation. It didn't happen on purpose. I came here to tell you something, but now I want to ask the man in glasses to reconsider his decision," Clarissa exclaimed, falling to her knees in front of the Duke. "I promise you I'll be quiet. I won't cause you any trouble. I will make sure I don't disturb the Duke. I will live in such a way that you will not notice my presence in the house." "I leave all that to the Duke. I have given my opinion on the matter. Duke, I'm sure you can't do that," said Quentin and walked out of the Duke's study. "Clarissa Lennon Grezekai is an illegitimate child. Judging from her actions, it seems that she wasn't treated as a princess in her homeland. However, that doesn't change the fact that she is royalty." Maximilian thought to himself, "I remember what the lands of Grezekai were like during my march. Villages devastated by the ongoing atrocities. Children dying in the streets from hunger and disease. Soldiers begging for food from their enemies. Meanwhile, the ruling family was drowning in luxury and pleasure. The king and queen had absolutely no regard for the problems of their people. I have no sympathy for the princess of such a decaying kingdom." "Clarissa Lennon Grezekai, I will tell you now plainly and honestly, on your 18th birthday I will kill you," Maximilian announced, rising from behind his desk. "I can already imagine the look on her face. She'll probably be begging me for mercy again," flashed through Maximilian's mind. "Are you really going to let me live until I'm of age? Thank you, sir, and I was beginning to think you had changed your mind," the girl exclaimed joyfully. "The truth is, I was always mentally prepared that I wouldn't live too long. My older brother always said that as soon as he ascended the throne, the first thing he would do would be to get rid of the mongrels. He often talked to me about killing me before I turned 12. Thank you. Now I will be able to live to my majority. I want to express my gratitude to you for that. You are my benefactor." Sitting in the carriage with Princess Grezekai, Quentin felt remorse. He felt sorry for the girl. He didn't want to think about the fact that in just a few years she would be executed. And why should I be the one to watch over this girl? How can I be alone with a child who will soon have to be beheaded by the Duke? And why is she so quiet? Why is she always silent? As soon as the carriage stopped, Quentin walked up to the Duke and asked him if they could switch places. "Duke, don't ignore me. I can no longer ride in the carriage in sepulchral silence. These unpleasant emotions should be felt by you, not me. It was your idea, not mine," Quentin exclaimed. "You say she has not uttered a single word. Didn't you tell me you would explain to the girl all about her life in Sheridan?" asked the Duke. "No, I wasn't going to do that. That child has been watching me for the entire trip. How can I tell her that she will be treated like a sinner and not a princess?" replied Quentin. "I realize saying such a thing can be difficult." "Did you hear everything, Clarissa Lennon-Grezekai?" the Duke asked unexpectedly. Quentin suddenly realized that the young princess was standing behind him. She had heard their entire conversation. "In case all of a sudden you missed something, I will repeat it again. In Sheridan, you will not be treated as a princess. All of your personal belongings will be discarded. Birthday celebrations will be forbidden. Are you willing to abide by all these rules?" asked the Duke to the girl. "I have never considered myself a princess before. My birthday was not celebrated. I lived like I was dead to everyone. It has always been that way. I only ask one thing of you. Let me keep my stones." Clarissa poured the contents of the pouch into the Duke's palm. "Very well. On those terms, I will allow you to enter Sheridan. But be careful, Princess. You must remember once and for all, your birthday parties and noise are forbidden. Now come on, back to the carriage." The Duke handed the girl back her stones. The Duke is a kind man, after all, Clarissa thought to herself. "Quentin, you are to remain in charge of protecting the prisoner until she arrives in Sheridan," said the Duke to his aide. When the Duke entered Sheridan, the people began to exclaim loudly, cheering him on. Everyone seems to be excited about the Duke. Quentin was right. The Duke is truly a gifted man, thought Clarissa, watching the happenings from the carriage window. On the way to Sheridan, Quentin told Clarissa that Duke Maximilian is the best knight in the Kingdom of Chief. He has outstanding intelligence and expertise in every field. On top of that, he has the noble status of royalty. At one point, Maximilian was the heir to the throne, but due to the breakup of the Duke's family, that title was lost. I would also like to point out that Duke Maximilian is highly sought after by women. There is not a single one who would not want to marry him. However, he is already married, and happily married. And I want to warn you that the town of Sheridan is cold since it is in the north of the country. Among other things, monsters live here. That's why Sheridan is often referred to as the land of the dead. Back in Sheridan, the Duke repaired the northern wall to prevent monsters from attacking the common people. He spared no effort to research and support the residents. The Duke is truly the guardian of the northern lands. "Mr. Quentin, you admire the Duke so much. You can see that you enjoy working for him. The Duke is lucky to have such an assistant," Clarissa exclaimed. "Oh well, anyone can do the paperwork. The only one who is irreplaceable is the Golem Master," replied a blushing Quentin. "And who is a Golem Master?" asked the girl. "Simply put, it is a sorcerer who can bring stones to life. In turn, the animated stones become loyal servants to those who give them life. They obediently follow any command given," Quentin explained. A colossal golem can fight magical creatures and occasionally transform into a structure to protect people. A prime example is Sheridan Mansion, which is where we're headed now. A Duke knocked on the carriage window. He announced loudly that he needed to go check out the north wall. A rumor had spread through the city that magical creatures had been activated. "While I'm gone, you can get out of the carriage for a little walk." "Quentin, the prisoner will remain in your care," said the Duke. "No, I will not stay with that girl any longer. These lands are ruled by the Duchess. I can do nothing without her permission," objected Quentin. "I see. Then tell the Duchess that I'm leaving the child with her for a while. I'll go north and be right back," said the Duke and rushed away. From now on, you may use the servants' staircase. The central staircase is only for members of the Duke's family and authorized personnel," Quentin explained to the girl. Taking a step, Clarissa immediately stumbled and fell flat on the stairs. "My God, did you hurt yourself?" frightenedly exclaimed Quentin. The girl hastened to assure him that she was all right. She was just uncomfortable moving around in such long clothes. As she climbed the stairs, Clarissa heard a whisper coming from the wall. "Why did you stop? Did you decide to talk to the wall? On the way here, I told you about this mansion being able to turn into a golem. It's really impressive, isn't it?" Quentin asked the girl. "He's very kind and beautiful," whispered Clarissa, turning to the wall. "We're finally back," exclaimed Quentin joyfully as he entered the house. "It seems we have met you at an opportune time. Is the Duchess in her chambers?" asked Quentin to the older maid. "Yes, she is resting now. You have no idea how distressed the lady was. How could the Duke leave immediately without even saying hello to his wife?" The older maid grumbled. "We brought this child from Gresakai. I would like to entrust this girl to the Duchess," Quentin announced. "This child had better wash herself before meeting the Duchess. She is very dirty," the head maid said in a stern tone. It was a long trip, so we didn't get to clean up. In that case, can I entrust her to you?" asked Quentin to the senior maid. "Yes, of course, I will take care of her," replied the woman. The older maid's name was Bessie. She asked the girl to follow her. Bessie led the way to Clarissa in the attic. It all seemed very strange to the girl. Couldn't the bathroom be in the attic, could it? "Come in here." Bessie opened the door of one of the rooms in front of the girl. The room appeared dusty and covered in cobwebs. It bore little resemblance to a bathroom. "So, from now on, you must answer honestly to all my questions. Did you come here with the Duke from Gresakai? Were there any women among the Duke's entourage?" the maid asked. "Yes, I came here from Gresakai. We were accompanied by knights. There were no women," Clarissa muttered fearfully. She didn't understand why the older maid was asking her such strange questions. This information was requested to know by the Duchess herself, so tell me the truth. Were there any women among you who were on good terms with the Duke? Bessie repeated her question. "I don't think we ought to talk to you on such subjects. The Duke is a good man. Do not speak of him carelessly," Clarissa muttered. "How dare you, the one who was taken prisoner, cross me!" exclaimed Bessie. She swung to strike the girl, but suddenly heard voices outside the door. "Well, since you won't tell me, I won't let you see the Duchess," Bessie hissed through her teeth. "But Quentin said I absolutely must see her, didn't he?" Clarissa exclaimed. "You'd better shut up. You're going to sit here now. Don't utter a word, not a whisper. You're a sinner, and you still want to meet the Duchess after you disobeyed her orders? Have you no shame? Be thankful you're not locked in the dungeon," said Bessie in an angry tone. "Hey, Bessie, I heard that the baby I'm supposed to take care of will arrive today. Has she arrived yet?" asked the Duchess. "Oh, is that what you mean? You don't need to worry about that," replied the maid. "What do you mean?" clarified the Duchess. "This girl may be a child, but she is a prisoner of war from a defeated country. Is there any point in the Duchess caring about something like that? I'll look into it, don't worry." Bessie replied, "Oh, and the Duke! Why did he bring her to his house? It would have been better to kill her on the same spot." "Bessie, how can you say such terrible things? It sounds extremely cruel. Tell me, where is that child now? Could it be that you have already done something to him?" the Duchess exclaimed. "Leave it alone. Stop talking to me in that tone of voice. Since I continue to talk to you as a lady, you have imagined that you have become a real Duchess. In reality, you are a fake," Bessie replied. "If you have time to worry about a child you don't even know, you should spend it thinking about how to please the Duke. It's been a long time and you still don't have an heir. Even if the marriage was forced, is there any point in pretending that you are strangers to each other? It's already been 3 years. If they find out you're a fake before you have children, it will be all over for House Darrington. Do you realize that?" "So what am I to do now? I made a promise to Sir Quentin that I would be sure to say hello to the Duchess. What a fool I am after all. What made me think that the Duchess and Sir Quentin would treat me kindly? Thought Clarissa, sitting in her new room. I am a burden that must disappear, barely 18 years old. When the Duchess entered the girl's room, she found her sleeping on the floor. The Duchess carefully laid the girl on the bed. She covered her with a warm blanket. I can't believe Bessie let the baby sleep on the floor. On top of that, this room has a rather sad look to it. We'll have to clean this place up. The Duchess thought to herself, I hope after all these years I haven't forgotten my skills after all, mumbled the Duchess, rolling up her sleeves. The Duchess cleaned the girl's room with her own hand. When the cleaning was done, she breathed a sigh of relief. She couldn't let the child live among cobwebs and breathe dust. Afterward, the Duchess went to the kitchen and brought fresh bread from there. I'm sorry. If I could, I would have you removed from this room immediately. Unfortunately, it is not in my power, as I am a duchess in words only. Bessie is telling the truth. I am a fake. Anyway, I can't leave the child in such bad conditions. What am I to do? He won't listen to me if I tell him about it, thought the Duchess on her way to her room. Suddenly she heard someone's cautious footsteps behind her. Approaching her consort, the Duke took her hand firmly. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was you. I noticed a suspicious shadow in front of me, so I unknowingly grabbed you, said the Duke and let go of his consort's hand. Duke, why are you here? I heard that you won't arrive until 3 days later. Why did you come back so early? Asked the Duchess to her husband. I went to check on the north wall and came right back, replied the Duke. By the way, what are you doing here at this late hour? And what should I answer him? Should I tell him the truth? Or maybe this is a chance to finally talk to him. Maybe it's for the best. The Duchess thought to herself. Duke, I have a big favor to ask of you, exclaimed the Duchess. The stones in the girl's hands began to vibrate quietly. Afterward, they rose into the air and gently touched her cheek. Softy, well, why do you keep waking me up? I want to sleep some more, don't I? Mumbled Clarissa, rising up on the bed. Wait, what happened to my room while I was sleeping? Why did it get so clean? It feels like a real fairy has been in here. Softy, you saw what happened last night after I fell asleep, right? The girl asked. The stone vibrated again in her hands. What, are you saying the Duchess did it all? But that can't be true. She's actually a scary person. You've probably mistaken her for someone else. Early in the morning, Bessie decided to check on the prisoner. She must be awake by now, acting like a child. We'll have to teach her a lesson. Besides, I like to see tears in her eyes. Entering the room, Bessie saw Clarissa laughing merrily. You're such a creep, Bessie sneered through her teeth. I see you're enjoying life, stealing things like a rat. What I gave you isn't enough? Where did you get your food and firewood from? Bessie asked the girl. Clarissa hid her bag of stones behind her back. Bessie noticed that the girl was holding something behind her back. Quickly answer me. What are you hiding there? You stole that, am I right? Give me that thing, demanded the maid. No, I'm not giving you Softy. She's a close friend of mine, screamed Clarissa. What a naughty child. If I say give her back, then you must give me what I ask, shouted Bessie and snatched the pouch from the girl's hands. I thought you were hiding jewelry, and these are just ordinary stones. And because of that you made such a fuss, exclaimed the maid as she untied the pouch. Bessie threw the bag of stones out of the window. Oh, and what's to be done now? Your best friend has been thrown out on the street. And why are you only acting like this because of some rocks? And this would never have happened if you did what you were told to do. I will tell the Duke what happened, and he will surely punish you, Bessie said in a gloating tone. Hearing the maid's words, Clarissa trembled fearfully. And what are you going to tell me? Asked the Duke, who entered the room. Duke, how did you come to be here? You were only supposed to arrive a few days later, exclaimed Bessie in surprise. First, you answer my question. What was it you wanted to tell me? Why do you make me repeat the same question twice? In an angry tone, the Duke said, I punished the girl because she used things from the castle as she pleased. It may have seemed a bit harsh, but for the sake of the mansion and the child, I had to do that, said Bessie, bowing low before the Duke. I see you enjoy breaking the law. You know very well, don't you, that a child must remain perfectly healthy until her majority. Why are you beating her for discipline? Are you going to be responsible for the consequences? Asked the Duke. Oh, no, you've got it all wrong. It was the Duchess who ordered me to do that. I had no other choice, replied Bessie. The Duke remembered his consort's words. The previous evening, she had begged him to take care of the girl. Not only did you break the law, but you also framed your mistress. Lock the traitor in the underground dungeon, ordered the Duke to his guards. Duke, please forgive me. Please show me mercy. Bessie screamed, but Maximilian remained adamant. Sit here for a while. I'll call you later, said Maximilian to the girl. Sir, Clarissa exclaimed, and immediately fell silent. She was afraid of incurring the Duke's wrath, and at the same time she really wanted to retrieve her bag of stones from the street. It's all right, forgive me, Clarissa muttered. Why did the Duke say he would call on me? He looked extremely distressed today. Would I really be banished from his house? What if he wants to kill me right now? Clarissa wondered as soon as the door closed behind the Duke. A butler entered the girl's room and announced that the Duke was calling her into his study. Afterward, a maid came into the girl's room and offered her a bath. One was not to go to the Duke with a dirty face. I'm a little late with my introduction. I am Rosalie. I've heard your name is Clarissa. It's a very nice name. It goes perfectly with your pink hair, said the maid. And I don't think that hair suits me. They make me extremely conspicuous. I really wish I had sparkling golden hair, Clarissa muttered in a sad voice. Clarissa remembered that the servants of the Grezekai royal palace often laughed off her pink hair. Because of that color, no one took her for a princess. Sometimes, the servants would kick the girl out of the house and forbid her to go back in. Wait, but is blonde hair better than pink hair? Your hair has an elegant hue. It reflects your goodness. Is there a color that would suit you better than that? Asked Rosalie. Have you finished dressing already? How long will I have to wait for you? An irritated Duke entered the room. Don't you think your dress is too thin for this cold weather? Asked the Duke, scrutinizing the girl. Rosalie exclaimed that there was only this dress for the moment. She would order something warmer soon. Since that's the case, then follow me, ordered the Duke to the girl. Maximilian showed his captive to her new room. This room is absolutely marvelous, Clarissa exclaimed. You decided to give me a new room? Weren't you going to kill me today? Clarissa clarified. The Duke raised his eyebrows in surprise. He didn't understand why the girl thought he wanted to kill her just today. The Duke asked Clarissa for her hand to hold out to him. After that, he handed her the bag of stones. You gave me back Softy? Clarissa marveled. I found your pouch outside the manor building. Apparently the maid accidentally put it in the wrong place. I apologize on her behalf. So how do you like your new room? Do you like it? Asked the Duke, taking a seat across from the girl. I think it's too big for me, Clarissa admitted. Don't take things so superficially. First, living on the second floor will keep you from escaping through the window. Second, a good room provides the psychological stability to avoid rebellion, Maximilian explained. This room also has good insulation, which reduces the risk of catching a cold. In other words, it makes an ideal prison for holding a prisoner. Still, what a deep meaning he puts into an ordinary room. I didn't expect him to do that. Clarissa marveled to herself. Perhaps it would be best to change the blanket for something lighter. It wouldn't be nice to be squished by a blanket before you turn 18, said the Duke. When everyone left the room, Clarissa fell onto the bed in relief. She had gotten much more than she had expected. Quentin, Rosalie, and even the Duke are treating me well. I'm going to be the best 18-year-old girl in the world to justify their trust. Clarissa took the stones out of her pouch and kissed them. At the same instant, golden ribbons that looked like rays of sunlight burst into the room. Softy, will you help me? The golden ribbons spiraled into a small ball and then transformed into a stone man. What can I do for you? Clarissa asked her faithful stone friend Softy. You know, I think there are a lot of special stones in this mansion. Ask them about Sheridan, Clarissa asked Softy. A couple days later, Softy returned to Clarissa with the information she had gathered. I see you're watching the festival. You get lonely when I leave you alone, right? I'd like you to go to the festival, said Softy. No, I wouldn't go to this festival. This festival is set up to honor the victory over Grezekai. If I were there, no one would be happy about it. Still, I'm a little jealous of them. I've never been to a festival or banquet before, Clarissa admitted. Then do you want me to dance with you? Softy held out her tiny hand to the girl. And how would I dance with you, but you are very small, aren't you? Clarissa asked. Well, if you don't want to, don't dance, exclaimed Softy and grumbled resentfully. Hey, come on, don't be like that. Let's dance. Clarissa picked up the little stone man in her arms. Laughing merrily, the girl whirled around the room. The Duchess felt stuffy at the banquet and went out onto the terrace to enjoy the cool evening air. Still, this title does not suit me. It's too difficult for me to play the noble lady and smile at people all the time. I would love to run away from here, but I can't yet. And why is it so cold in these parts? The Duchess thought to herself. Suddenly someone approached the girl and threw a warm coat over her shoulders. It's chilly today. You shouldn't go out in the same dress, said the Duke to his consort. Kimberly, if you are not feeling well, you may leave first. No, why would you think that? I feel fine. I just got stuffy. I was planning on coming back soon. And what brings you here, Duke? Is there something you want to tell me? Asked Kimberly to her husband. No, I'm sorry to have disturbed you, replied Maximilian and hurried away. Duke, wait a second. I heard you took care of that child. Thank you for that, and I sincerely apologize for not being able to fulfill your errand. Even my maid made a mistake, Kimberly exclaimed. I am responsible for what happened. Again, please forgive me. Kimberly bowed low before the Duke. It is not your fault, so hold your head up. Your maid will be dealt with according to the established laws, said the Duke. He was actually looking for his spouse to ask her for the report that was found in her maid's belongings. When Bessie's things were searched, suspicious letters were found. In them were recorded all of the Duke's business. There was also a detailed account of the Duchess's every move. Maximilian wondered to whom the maid could have sent these reports. Duke, would you happen to make sure that the Count's family doesn't find out about this incident? I'm not asking you to hide it for the rest of your life, but I don't think anything will happen if you wait a bit, asked Kimberly. Okay, I'll withhold that information for a while, but at some point I'll have to notify them of it. I can't keep quiet. It's against the law. I'm sure this information will not affect you in any way, replied Maximilian. Duke, thank you, and that's it, Kimberly exclaimed. Returning to his study, Maximilian thought about his consort. It had been 3 years now, and they still hadn't become close. There was still a certain aloofness between them, and they continued to speak to each other in a formal tone. Duke, look, up ahead! Isn't that the room of the child from Grezekai? Exclaimed one of the Duke's guards. The Duke noticed that the door to the girl's room was ajar. Taking a firm grip on his sword, the Duke headed towards the captive's room. There were no outsiders in the girl's room. Clarissa herself was lying on the floor. The guard ran up to Clarissa and picked her up in his arms. Nothing terrible has happened. She's just sleeping. Looks like the girl was playing with the rocks and fell asleep. The child must have gotten bored after being alone for a few days, said the guard. Can a child get bored? It hasn't been long since she's been here. She's probably just recuperating. That's common for children, the Duke remarked. I would like to point out that children recover quickly. Sometimes all they need is one night. She most likely needs some outdoor exercise, replied the guard. The next day, Rosalie helped Clarissa put on her white fur sheepskin coat. There, now you can go outside. With a cheerful smile, Rosalie said. Facing the Duke in the hallway, Clarissa thanked him for providing her with a warm prison uniform. Starting today, you may engage in outdoor activities. All prisoners must maintain their physical and psychological health. You are no exception, said the Duke. From now on, I will go outside every day and make my body stronger. But what exactly am I supposed to do outdoors? Clarissa asked. I know that when it snows, kids start making snowmen. When I was a kid, we even had a contest to see who could build the biggest one, Quentin exclaimed. You should enter that contest too. Build a snowman on behalf of our mansion, said the Duke to the girl. That's right. I'm going to be the representative for this mansion. I can't believe I can do something for this house, thought Clarissa admiringly. Well, Besson, please take her to the courtyard, ordered the Duke to his guard. Since Clarissa lived in a warmer country, she had never seen snow. Stepping on the ground, she suddenly realized that there were footprints in the snow. How fun it is to run in this crunchy snow, leaving a chain of footprints behind me, screamed Clarissa joyfully. Wait, what's a snowman? I've never seen one before. I need to find out from the local estate guards what a snowman looks like. Hey, how are you doing? Asked Clarissa against the wall of the mansion. Immediately, a man appeared in front of Clarissa. He was slightly larger than the palm of an adult's hand. The man had a black armband over his face. He was the guard of the outer wall of the mansion. Are you the prisoner the inner wall guys were talking about? The guard asked. And how did you know who I am? Wondered Clarissa. After you arrived, my minions made such a ruckus that it was probably heard even outside the manor, grumbled the guard. But make no mistake. We, the guards of the outer wall, are different from them. We will give no mercy to the captives. Don't even try to escape from here. Yes, I would never, ever do such a terrible thing. I only called you here to learn how to make a snowman. I've been given an assignment, and I don't know how to do it since I haven't done it before, Clarissa confessed. I will not help the prisoner. It is beneath my dignity, exclaimed the guard. I don't need to help. Just tell me how to do it, Clarissa asked. Wow, you are so noisy after all. You leave me no choice. I'll have to chase you away, grumbled the guard. The guard waved his hand, and the bell on the tower glowed a golden color. Now I will show you the might of the Outer Wall Legion. So, the guards of the mansion. Since the captive is walking around freely, I urge you to ring the bell twice immediately. A guard shouted. The bell made a quiet, barely perceptible sound. You heard someone messing with the bell again. It must be another false alarm. The sentries standing next to the tower muttered. Okay, just get out of here before I do something worse, said the guard with a vicious grind of his teeth. Back in the room, Clarissa reported everything to the spirit of the inner wall. Still, don't think too badly of that outer wall guardian. He's likely been guarding Sheridan for years, far longer than humans. It's no exaggeration to say that men like him take great pride in their service, said the spirit of the inner wall. However, over time, magic tends to fade to the point where they are now unable to even ring a bell. And the fact that people consider them useless definitely puts a heavy burden on them. But I still don't understand why you went to the guard to ask how to mold a snowman, asked the spirit of the inner wall. Clarissa told her that it was a task given to her by the Duke. That's great that the Duke has become concerned about your physical health. I'll tell you how to make a snowman. When we mold a magnificent snowman, the guardian of the outer wall will surely be happy about it. The spirit of the inner wall exclaimed. After molding the body of the snowman, Clarissa went to get the branches that would later become his arms. Walking through the garden in search of branches, Clarissa ran into the Duchess. She was taking her morning jog. The girl was so beautiful that Clarissa thought she was a fairy. As she stopped, the Duchess accidentally broke the branch Clarissa had prepared. Were you looking for branches? I'm sorry for stepping on them. If you need anything else, you tell me, said Kimberly to the girl. Clarissa heard someone calling her name. Turning around, she saw the Duke accompanied by Benson. I have a favor to ask of you. Keep it a secret that you and I saw each other here, asked the Duchess. Duke, I'm here! Shouted Clarissa and ran to the Duke. Clarissa, where have you been? You didn't answer even though I called for you for a long time, said the Duke to the girl. I was looking for branches to stick in the snowman, replied the girl. Clarissa, as soon as you are done, go back to the house. And you, Benson, put her snowman in front of the mansion, ordered the Duke. Clarissa picked up her snowman and carried it to the tower. She wanted to show the snowman to the guardian of the outer wall. Mr. Wall, I am here to show you something. Answer me, shouted the girl. But even after a while, the wall didn't answer her. Clarissa walked up to the wall and kissed it. She had only done that before with Softy. With a kiss, it was possible to summon her at any time. A sleeping guard immediately appeared in the air. Strange. It's not a full moon yet. Then where did such strong magic come from? Grumbled the guard, opening his eyes. Mr. Outer Wall, I'm so glad you're awake, shouted Clarissa. An imprisoned child? There's no way that little girl could wake me up. The guard thought in surprise. Mr. Outer Wall, I made a snowman. My inner wall spirit friend told me that if I show you the snowman, you will be happy, said Clarissa. Your friend told you all sorts of nonsense. Not one snowman you've made is going to make me happy. Besides, don't put magic into me without my permission, grumbled the guard. Especially, you shouldn't use your magic on me, and unless you want to tie your life to me for centuries. I apologize for disturbing you, Clarissa said in a sad voice. She turned away from the wall and wandered slowly toward the house. On the ground, near the wall, remained a snowman molded especially for the guardian of the outer wall. The outer wall guardian sat in front of the bell and thought about Clarissa's magical power. Hi, I thought I'd stop by before bedtime. I heard you got a piece of Clarissa's magic power. Lucky you. I'm even a little jealous of you. The guardian of the outer wall was approached by the spirit of the inner wall. I shouldn't be envious. Because of this power, I can't sleep now, the outer wall guardian complained. Guardian, be kind to Clarissa. Do you know how happy she was today because of you? And I've seen that when you like people, you start acting out of character, said the spirit of the inner wall. How can you say I like someone? I hate people. They're weak and die quickly, grumbled the guardian. Is that why you are afraid of children? But I want to assure you that Clarissa is a delightful child. And you know too, don't you, that we don't have much time left. Soon you and I will turn into ordinary rocks, said the spirit of the inner wall. That's even better than waiting for a master who will never return, replied the guardian. Guardian, are you at it again? Don't talk so easily about disappearing. I, for one, really want to live. And you know yourself that you and I have been protecting this mansion for years. The spirit of the inner wall exclaimed. Be quiet. There's some strange person wandering around down there. It looks like an uninvited guest has wandered into the grounds of the mansion. It's extremely suspicious. The guard firmly clamped his hand over the inner wall spirit's mouth. A man in a long black cloak was hanging around near the main gate. Wait, since an uninvited guest has sneaked into the manor, shouldn't you ring the bell? Asked the spirit of the inner wall. First of all, there are knights and sentries in the manor. They should take care of it. Secondly, you yourself know very well that my bell is useless now. If I ring it again, I'll only become a laughing stock. I don't want to be an idiot to people anymore, the guard exclaimed. But it may be different this time, for Clarissa has given you a piece of her magic. You must try, said the spirit of the inner wall. You want me to use the little girl's power? Clarified the guard. But you are a knight. You swore to protect this manor. The inner wall spirit insisted. All right, persuaded, I'll do it. Oh, the bell is the guardian of the outside. There are uninvited guests there, so ring it twice, shouted the guardian. The bell rose a bright blue color and rang loudly twice. My God, this is beautiful, the spirit of the inner wall exclaimed. This is unbelievable. I saw the emission of that light again. It's marvelous, thought to himself the guardian. Do you hear it? The bell is ringing, said Quentin. Maximilian knew that if the bell rang once, it meant that trouble was inside the mansion. If the bell rings 3 times, it was a sign that the trouble was in the town or village. And if the bell rings twice, the trouble is in the courtyard or near the mansion. The bell usually rang twice when an intruder appeared near the manor or a prisoner escaped. The Duke jumped up from his seat. He urgently needed to check on Clarissa's whereabouts. Now is the time for the patrol to guard the front gate. If a criminal gets inside or someone wants to escape, they'll most likely head for the back garden, thought the Duke, exploring the garden. At the end of the garden, he saw a dark silhouette on the fence. Why is that man in that position? Maybe his clothes got caught on something. It seems like he didn't even notice me. Judging from his carelessness, there's no need to call for knights. The Duke thought to himself. Hey, who are you? I don't know what your purpose is here. But now that you've been discovered, you won't be able to deny that you're up to something, shouted the Duke. Your Grace, is that you? Shouted back Kimberly. The girl tugged at the hem of her cloak again and again. When she wanted to jump over the fence, she accidentally caught the sharp edge of the metal fence. Yanking her cloak once again, the girl flew downward with a scream. Kimberly fell right into the arms of her spouse. I'm sorry, I'll get off you right now, exclaimed a blushing Kimberly. Calm down. If you rush like that, you're bound to hurt yourself, said the Duke to the girl. Maximilian took his consort in his arms and carried the girl to her bedroom. After carrying the girl into the room, the Duke sat her down on the couch. Kimberly began to apologize to the Duke again. She felt extremely uncomfortable. It's okay, you can take it easy. You've already apologized to me several times. It's better to let me watch your leg, asked the Duke to his consort. Kimberly had injured her leg in the fall. Her ankle was swollen and red. I'll get some medicine and bandages from my bedroom. Wait for me here, said the Duke and left the room. I didn't realize there was a door here. Turns out it connects my and the Duke's rooms. I've never used it since the wedding. I'd forgotten all about it. Kimberly thought to herself. Then again, why do I need that door? After this forced marriage, we've been living like strangers for 3 years. No, now is not the time to think about that. How will I explain it to the Duke when he returns? He's obviously suspected something wrong. How do I explain to him that I have to do this? Will he believe what I say? Well, I'll get out of it somehow. All this time, Mrs. Bessie has been spying on me and passing the contents of my letters to Mr. Darrington. But if the letters suddenly stopped coming, he would find it suspicious. So I began to write the letters, repeating Mrs. Bessie's handwriting. I was caught after I'd sent another letter. How am I to explain it? But if I keep silent, it will seem even more suspicious to the Duke. I have to justify myself somehow. Returning to his wife's room, the Duke went down on one knee before her. He decided to bandage the girl's leg by himself. Duke, no need. I can handle it myself. In a frightened voice, Kimberly exclaimed. No, you can't do it, as it's hard for you to move. It won't take long, so be patient. If you suddenly want to apologize to me again, you don't have to, replied the Duke. No, I won't apologize to you again. I feel I owe you an explanation of where I went today. To be honest, I was in the village because of a letter. I wanted to send it to my friend back home, lied Kimberly. You have some friend back home? Clarified the Duke. Kimberly nodded affirmatively. The next time you want to send a letter to someone, just come to me. I'll be able to deliver the letter. Also, there's no need to hide anymore. I knew everything from the beginning. You knew what? Kimberly asked. The girl felt her body covered in cold sweat. 3 years ago, Earl Darrington had forced Kimberly to marry the Duke. Originally, the Duke's wife was supposed to be his daughter, but the Earl didn't want to send her to the country where there was constant frost. Kimberly was an ordinary maid. The girl had a seriously ill mother on her hands. The Earl promised that if Kimberly would marry the Duke, he would cure her mother. I know you have a man you love. And what girl would want to be forced into marriage? I can understand that. Therefore, I wish to have our marriage annulled, said the Duke. I've been thinking about it for a long time. Unfortunately, right now, it's impossible due to the King and Queen constantly watching me. But I promise you that within the next few years, you will definitely be free. I will try my best to make sure that neither you nor your family will be harmed. Well, I'll be off. Good night. If the Duke annuls this marriage, I am even better off. If the marriage is safely dissolved, Mr. Darrington will have nothing to charge me with, and there will be plenty of time before my mother recovers. That's what I wanted most of all. Kimberly thought to herself, Damn, and why haven't I heard from her yet? Has she forgotten that her mother is being held hostage? She has to get me out of here, and I have to keep sending letters, muttered Bessie, nervously biting her nails. I completely forgot that she can read and write. She's probably sending letters on my behalf. So I'm going to sit here all my life? No way. I'll definitely find a way out. Lord Benson came down into the dungeon. Just in time, Bessie thought to herself, and beckoned to the Lord. If you have anything you wish to say to me, I wish to warn you that it is not possible at the moment. All your requests and wishes must be conveyed through the warden, said Lord Benson to the woman. But the Duchess is deceiving the Earl, shouted Bessie. What did you just say? Asked the Lord, turning around. Rosalie carried a tray of food into Clarissa's room. Clarissa placed a drawing of 2 people on the chair across from her. The girl announced that they were her dinner friends. Is the girl bored and lonely to the point where she got up to make up non-existent friends? Rosalie was pained to see what was happening. Are you suggesting I eat with the child? Maximilian clarified. I apologize, Duke, if I offended you with my words. But if you wish to preserve the girl's mental health, she must dine with the adults. Eating with you at the same table will teach her proper posture and manner of speech, replied Rosalie. If she needs ethics lessons, we can hire her a tutor. I don't think there is any need for my presence, said the Duke. But you didn't see that. Today she sat down to eat with this drawing. She called these drawn little people her dinner friends. Rosalie showed the Duke Clarissa's drawing. If it continues like this, the loneliness will harm her mental health. To preserve her mental health until she's of age, we need to remove more attention from her. I'm sorry, but if the Duke can't have lunch with the girl, I can do it. If you don't mind, I can keep Clarissa company. Besides, we already know her. I won't be a stranger to her, Quentin said in a loud voice. That would be very nice, Mr. Quentin, exclaimed Rosalie excitedly. However, I noticed that there is a lady in the drawing, so it would be nice if you brought your girlfriend along. I've done nothing but study since I was a child, and since coming to this house, all I've done is work 24 hours a day. I just don't have any free time to create relationships, Quentin admitted. Fine, I'll come to dinner with the Duchess. With a heavy sigh, Maximilian promised. By the way, you probably haven't met yet. I'd like to introduce, this is my consort Kimberly, said the Duke before dinner. Hello, mistress. It is an honor to meet you. My name is Clarissa. The girl couldn't fully believe that she would be dining with the Duke and Duchess this evening. Clarissa hoped that the dinner would be fun, but for some reason the atmosphere in the room was rather gloomy. Because of the excitement, the girl could not even distinguish the taste of the food. Lord Benson could not take his eyes off the Duchess. He remembered what Bessie's former maid had told him. The woman had told Benson that the Duchess was a fake. The Earl of Darrington was behind it all. Bessie also told Benson that the Earl had sent her to follow the Duchess to keep tabs on her and give a detailed report once a week. Bessie swore that she had wanted to tell the Duke everything for a long time, but the Duchess had caught her and ordered her locked in a dungeon. I think the Duke has noticed something, too. Recently, he has started avoiding the Duchess. Please keep a close eye on them, the former maid asked, lastly. And why didn't I notice anything until now? Has there always been such a cold relationship between them? How can they eat together and yet not look at each other once? Even Clarisse is uncomfortable being here, thought Besson, watching the Duchess. Clarissa, is everything all right? Kimberly asked unexpectedly. I see you've hardly eaten anything. Could it be because of the spicy herbs added to the dish? You don't like their flavor? And if you don't want to eat, you shouldn't force yourself. No, it's fine. I'm an omnivore. I'm absolutely not confused by any spices or herbs. Clarissa cut a piece off the meat and put it in her mouth. How delicious! The girl exclaimed. The Duchess laughed merrily. I am very fond of corn and potatoes. And what is your favorite kind of food? Clarissa asked the Duchess. What do I like? To food I am rather indifferent. I am very fond of embroidery and writing letters, replied Kimberly. What about the Duke? You like him, don't you? Clarissa inquired. Those sitting at the table were awkwardly silent. Kimberly took a long time to find the words to answer the girl most truthfully. Forgive me, I said something stupid, Clarissa said in a trembling voice. She was very much afraid that she had spoiled the whole dinner with her question. No, that's a very good question. In fact, it took me a long time to find the words to describe the extent to which I like the Duke. And how could I not like him? He's a wonderful person, said Kimberly and laughed merrily. The Duke accidentally dropped the knife from his hands. It fell onto the plate with a clatter. "Duke, what's wrong with you?" Kimberly inquired. Maximilian answered her that he was fine. No need to pay any attention to him. "The Duchess said she likes you. Do you like her?" Clarissa asked the Duke. "I suggest that during the meal we concentrate on the food and not talk about nothing," replied the Duke. Maximilian remembered that Rosalie had asked him to keep the conversation going during dinner. According to her, it was good for the child's value formation. "I like the Duchess, too," Maximilian replied briefly. "What?" Benson exclaimed in surprise. The Duchess also looked at the Duke with surprised eyes. He had never ever said anything to her about his feelings. "Benson, why are you reacting like this? Is there a problem?" asked the Duke to his guard. "No, no problem at all. You're just a role model for all spouses," exclaimed Benson. Benson took Clarissa to her room, leaving the spouses alone. "Thank you for your support during dinner. You must have been very surprised at my invitation," Maximilian asked his spouse. "Not at all. I was prepared for it. Rosalie told me everything. I want to help the girl, too," replied Kimberly. "Why am I so uncomfortable being around him? Maybe it's because this is the first time we've met since that day? I also had to say something like that. I hope the Duke didn't pay attention." Kimberly thought to herself. "I beg your pardon. Can I go now? I still have some errands to run," said Kimberly, rising from the table. "Going to write another letter?" asked the Duke. Kimberly looked at him fearfully. "Okay, forget what I said. I'll be on my way too." Maximilian also rose from his seat. After dinner, Kimberly decided to take a walk around the garden. She returned to her room late at night. On the table, the girl noticed a letter. Before she left, it was gone. Opening the letter, Kimberly realized that it was written by the Duke. He asked the girl to apologize for what had happened. He didn't want to offend her in any way. The Duke wrote that Kimberly had every right to socialize with whomever she wished. It seems to me that at that point he was really interested in my answer. For some reason, it is important for him to know to whom I write my letters. But should I answer him to this letter? The girl thought. Kimberly wrote a reply letter and decided to personally deliver it to the Duke. As she approached the Duke's bedroom, the girl knocked gently. "Is it normal that I came to him with my hair loose? Or maybe I should have gotten some hair done. And what about the clothes? Doesn't it look too provocative?" Kimberly thought to herself. Kimberly decided that her appearance might embarrass the Duke, so she handed him the letter through the ajar door. "Even if it's just a contract marriage, I can't have this kind of misunderstanding between us," said Kimberly. "It is I who must apologize to you for my selfishness. I assumed you had someone your heart missed. As recently as 3 years ago, when you came here, it seemed to me that you were pining hard for someone," replied the Duke. "I missed my mother. She is the most precious thing left in my life. She was always very protective of me and loved me in a way no one else could," Kimberly confessed. "I'm sure your mom knows how you feel about her." The Duke reassured the girl. "I knew it. He's a wonderful man. Perhaps he can be a little too direct at times, but really, he's quite sensitive. There's a warmth that comes from him. He has very good manners. And that little girl was right. I like him," Kimberly thought. The next day, when the Duke went into his room in the evening, he noticed a letter on the table. It was from Kimberly. The girl thanked him for listening to her the previous evening. She suggested that he continue to write letters to each other. "It's a good thing I decided to write her a letter after all. I feel like we are getting closer to each other. Our relationship is definitely getting better," the Duke remarked to himself. Clarissa walked to the door of the Duke's study and hesitated. She had no idea why he had summoned her to him so unexpectedly. "This will be the first time I've seen you since that dinner. How are you doing?" asked the Duke to the girl. "I've been brushing my teeth well, washing my hands regularly, and even eating my vegetables," Clarissa reported back. "I called you to my house to warn you that I have to go to the North Wall at the end of the year," said the Duke. Clarissa already knew that at the end of every year, Sheridan holds a fireworks festival at the North Wall. This is done to cheer up the people living in such a harsh place and inspire them for a brighter future. I want to ask you, do you want to come with me? Not only me, but almost everyone in the mansion will be going to the North Wall. It would be nice if you came with us. How would you feel about that? Asked the Duke. If I don't disturb you with my presence, I would love to go to the North Wall, Clarissa admitted. She really wanted to see the feast with her own eyes. Thank you for your answer, said the Duke to the girl. Clarissa looked at him in surprise. She didn't understand why he was thanking her. In fact, the Duke wanted to invite Kimberly to come with him, but he was afraid that she would refuse him. But now, for the girl's sake, she would definitely go. I'll finally get to see the New Year's Eve fireworks festival. Who would have thought that you would suggest I go together? I wouldn't have dreamed of such a thing. And I thought I'd just sit here and work all the time this time, too. Quentin couldn't stop exclaiming. Give it a rest. We're not just going there to have fun. We have our own goals, Maximilian muttered in a disgruntled tone. I realize we're going there because of a recent request that came from the wizarding community. And to be honest, I was quite surprised when we received a request for permission to investigate the case of the fallen golem, Quentin said, calming down a bit. Exactly, but it had already been too long before the investigation began. And if you remember, 10 years ago, monsters were constantly entering our city through the northern walls. The loss of the senior mage and the king was a tragic event, reminded the Duke to his aide. Due to the death of the golem master wizard, the colossal golem fell. 2 corpses were buried under it, so it was nicknamed the Fallen Golem. After this incident, the relationship between the magicians and the royal family deteriorated greatly. But is it possible to authorize an investigation in such a case? We need to be careful about the royal family. Besides, we're not completely sure if the investigation will be conducted properly. Quentin shared his concerns. The golem can't be touched unless you are a master. However, there is still a little hope. It is said that the son of the late senior mage is doing this research. His name is Noah Sinet, said the Duke. Although he is not a golem master like his father, he is quite strong. At his 11 years old, he is already in the top 5 wizards. My plan is to go to the North Wall and meet him. He's refusing to eat again. We're not going to force-feed him, are we? The guards were indignant. And no one is forcing you to force-feed him. If he starves to death, then we'll all thank him for sparing us the dirty work of dying ourselves, said Nelson. He dared to study the golem himself and take all the laurels for himself. How is he not ashamed to even live after killing his own mother? Now let's leave it at that. We have to go. We need to get to the North Wall as soon as possible. Noah remembered his mentor's words. He had asked him to go north and investigate the fallen golem. The mentor said that only he could find what was hidden inside. Forgive me, mentor. I will not be able to fulfill your last request. A monster like me has no right to do so, mumbled Noah. Noah pulled a red rock from his pocket and threw it out the window. Do you want to go to the North Wall that badly? Clarissa asked her faithful friend Softy. Of course I do, because it will be the first time I get to see the fireworks. Besides, it will be a great journey for me. I still can't believe this is happening to me, Clarissa replied. On top of that, the book I'm reading now says that if you go to a new place, you can meet new friends there. I'll be very happy to make friends with someone there. After a few hours of traveling, Quentin announced that they had finally reached the place. Mistress Clarissa, be careful. The road is slippery, so lean on my arm. Quentin held out his hand to the girl. The Duke walked over to his consort's carriage and helped her out. Clarissa enjoyed watching the Duke and Duchess's relationship. It was obvious that they liked each other. The Duke showed the girl her new room. It was modest, but quite bright. This room is certainly inferior to the one in the castle, but it won't be uncomfortable, said the Duke to the girl. Do you remember what I told you about precautions for your stay here? Yes, you can't catch a cold here. Only go outside in warm clothes. You can rest in the fresh air, but you can't climb the wall. Also, Benson has to be around at all times. Clarissa loudly listed all the rules. I have an appointment, so I'll be going, said the Duke. We just got here, and you already have things to do. I've noticed you've been working hard, and I think you're pretty tired, mumbled Clarissa. I apologize if I suddenly said something unnecessary. That's all right, Rest, replied the Duke and left the room. What a fool I am, after all. Why did I say such presumptuous words to the Duke? Now he's definitely sure I'm a fool, Clarissa muttered, burying her face into her pillow. Clarissa untied the pouch to let Softy outside. What a nightmare, and why did I have to bring him along? He was making noise the whole way, not giving me a chance to rest in peace. Softy resented. Clarissa looked into the pouch. At the bottom lay a red stone. This red stone the girl had found in the snow on the way to the north wall. When another break was made, Clarissa was allowed to play in the snow for a while. The girl decided to find some new pebbles for herself. Under a large layer of snow, Clarissa found this red rock. I took it with me because it seemed very unusual to me. Why are you telling me it was very noisy? What did you mean? Clarissa asked Softy. Girl, can you hear me? Spoke out from the stone. Wow, a talking stone, exclaimed Clarissa in surprise. What a relief. It seems you can actually hear me. Forgive me for addressing you, but I have a request. My friend Noah has found himself in great danger. Bad wizards have taken him prisoner and locked him in a wagon. Noah hasn't eaten or drunk anything for days. If he is left like this, he will surely die. Please save him. Sometimes that girl amazes me. Her concern for me seems very sweet. But who else should care about whom? It amazes me that even though she knows she will die on her majority, she laughs as if she has no worries, thought the Duke. And why am I thinking about her? Maybe I'm really overworked, and that's why all sorts of silly thoughts are popping into my head. As soon as the Duke entered the meeting room, one of the wizards immediately approached him. Welcome, your lordship. We have been expecting you. My name is Alfie Nelson. Thank you for responding to our request for research. I also have something I'd like to find, so it's a two-way benefit. However, I don't see Noah Sinnott here, the Duke remarked. He didn't show up for our meeting for some reason, Nelson said with a harmless smile. He noted to himself that the Duke was not so simple. Why didn't he come to this meeting? I was told he would be involved in the investigation. Resented the Duke. It's most likely because of what happened to Yenna Asto, his mentor. As you know, he passed away recently. Therefore, I had to take responsibility for this research. No matter how good Noah is, and he's still a child, such an important task should be taken on by an adult. I believe this will be the safest option for us. You need not worry. I suggest we get on with our meeting. Is that so? Then I can't consent to an investigation. In a firm, confident tone, the Duke said. Clarissa cautiously looked out into the hallway. She decided to help Noah, unknown to her. I have absolutely no idea who this Noah is, but since I'm being asked to do so, I can't refuse. And it seems to me that for a red stone, this is quite a precious friend. I should definitely help him. Clarissa pondered to herself. Clarissa, what are you doing near the open door? You look extremely worried. Is there anything I can do to help you? Benson crouched cautiously behind the girl. What am I supposed to do now? Maybe I should tell him everything honestly and ask for help? But then I'd have to admit to him that I talk to rocks. Won't he think I'm crazy? Frightened, Clarissa thought. Benson, I've decided to do some outdoor activities, lied the girl. I want to see the wagon the wizards used to come here. One of the books said it could fly. I really want to see the wizard's wagon. At the moment, all the wizards are in a meeting, so they won't be able to show you their wagon. I suppose you should approach them with that question after the meeting, replied Benson to the girl. Can't we go right now? We'll just look at it and that's all. Clarissa folded her arms pleadingly. Okay, I guess nothing will happen if we just look at the wagon. Benson had to give up under Clarissa's onslaught. There it is, the wizard's wagon. I saw them come out of there myself. Benson pointed with his hand at the beautiful wagon. Attached to it was a wooden wagon with metal bars on the windows. There were guards standing next to the wizard's wagon. They were different from the Duke's guards. They had an intimidating appearance. Having spotted the girl, the guards went towards her. Clarissa hurriedly hid behind Benson. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do anything wrong." Frightened, Clarissa muttered, "What has such a pretty little thing forgotten in our harsh, cold lands? I can see at once that you come from a noble family. You are very small and pretty." "Benson, did the Duke have an adult daughter?" asked the guards who approached. "What kind of nonsense are you asking? As if you don't know anything yourself. This child is a prisoner, so you shouldn't get too close to her," replied Benson. "A prisoner, you say? If it's a captive living in the Duke's house, then aren't you saying that she's from the Grezekai family?" A guard with an eye patch asked in surprise. "I don't know what kind of adult problems there are, but being so cute is really a big crime. She should be in jail for life for something like that," said the guard and laughed loudly. "Don't mind them. Let's get out of here quick." Benson nudged the girl towards the house. He didn't want the guards to scare her with their words. Suddenly, a red stone vibrated in Clarissa's pocket. He motioned for her to hurry up. Clarissa snapped out of her seat and rushed towards the wooden cart. "Are you sure your friend is in this particular wagon?" Clarissa clarified as she ran up to the wooden wagon. Stone answered her that he had no doubts. Clarissa climbed onto the ledge of the wagon and peered cautiously through the window. A panting Benson ran up to the girl. She motioned for him to look into the wagon as well. There was a boy lying unconscious at the bottom of the wagon. He had long blue hair. "I will only give you my consent if Noah Sanit is in charge of the investigation process. If he is not, we should begin negotiations from the beginning," the Duke said in a calm, confident tone. "But your lordship, Noah is not yet ready for such serious matters. On top of that, after losing his mentor, he still can't recover." Nelson objected. "Duke, this is Benson. I have an urgent report for you. Please forgive me for intruding, but it's really important." An agitated Benson entered the briefing room. Lord Benson walked up to the Duke and whispered something in his ear. "Is it certain?" Maximilian asked. Benson answered him that he had personally checked everything. "That's how." With an evil glare in his eyes, the Duke spoke in a quiet voice. "I'm sure we should hear an explanation as to why Noah, who supposedly did not come to the meeting, was locked in the wagon." The Duke muttered through his teeth. Hearing his words, the wizards flinched fearfully. Noah was brought into the spare room and laid on a bed. "Is he in any pain? I don't see any wounds on his body," said Clarissa. "You say he was locked in a wagon and for days on end? If that is indeed the case, he must be pretty exhausted. The problem is, there's nothing we can do right now." Sighing heavily, Kimberly said, Clarissa decided that Noah was in the way of his mask, so she reached up to remove it from the boy's face. "Hands off!" shouted Noah, jumping up on the bed. "Sorry, I just thought she might be in your way," mumbled Clarissa. "Where am I? Wasn't I in the wagon? Who are these people? This won't do." Annoyed, Noah thought to himself. Noah began to gather beams of energy in his hand. "Clarissa, stand back! This could be dangerous!" shouted Kimberly. There was an explosion. When the smoke cleared, Noah was vaporized along with it. "So you say Noah is gone?" clarified the Duke to the guards. "It's my fault. If I hadn't touched his mask, he wouldn't have freaked out and vanished into thin air. I didn't know he wouldn't like it," Clarissa muttered in a sad voice. "You shouldn't be so downhearted. You did it out of a desire to help him, didn't you? Clarissa, you must have been very frightened. You should rest in your room." Kimberly gently stroked the girl's head. When Clarissa entered her room, the red stone lying in her pocket immediately vibrated. "Girl, he is somewhere near. I can feel him," said the stone. "But he's not in this room. It's empty," Clarissa imagined. The girl guessed that Noah might be hiding behind the window. Clarissa found Noah sitting in a tree. "Noah, so you've been here all this time. How worried I was about you," Clarissa exclaimed. Seeing the girl, Noah jumped to his feet. "Noah, are you leaving again? Wait, don't go!" shouted Clarissa. The girl climbed up on the windowsill. Suddenly, she felt herself losing her balance. "I'm going to fall!" screamed Clarissa fearfully. Noah picked the girl up and helped her climb back onto the windowsill. Holding Noah's hand, Clarissa suddenly saw the blurry image of an old man in front of her. He said that Noah was a special child and that he was sure to have a friend who would see his true colors. "What was that? Did I really just see Noah's memories now?" marveled Clarissa. Clarissa sat silently by the fire. She didn't know where to start the conversation. "That little boy is a friend of yours, isn't he? I found him on my way here. I'm returning him to you." Clarissa held out a red stone to the boy. "This stone is not my friend," said Noah, and turned away from Clarissa. "It is of no use. It can't hear my voice," said the red stone to Clarissa. "So you turn out to be a wizard? When our hands touched, and I immediately realized that you saw my memories. A normal person can't do that," said Noah. "I can use something like magic. And I saw someone's memories for the first time today. Can I ask you something about your memories? Was that gray-haired man with the long beard your grandfather?" Clarissa asked. "For a moment, I thought that old man really cared for you. He really wished you happiness." "That old man is my mentor. He is no longer in the world of the living," replied Noah. "Like you said, he really protected me a lot. He was my support. Forget it, though. Those are my problems. They don't concern you. I know absolutely nothing about this boy. This is the first time I've seen him. However, I am sure he is very sad and lonely. Somehow I don't think I should leave him alone." Clarissa thought to herself. Clarissa rose from her seat and walked over to Noah. She wrapped her arms around his hand. "Noah, would you like to be my friend?" Clarissa asked. The girl was firmly convinced that she and Noah would definitely become good friends in the future. The two of them are very lonely in this big world. They need each other's support.